defense, getting steals. How did you guys pull this thing out?
It wasn't me, it was everybody. I mean, we all got to cover each other's backs, you know what I'm saying? So they're a great team. They tested us all night, and I just think we were able to stick with it and get the win. So, tonight was just a good team win.
You guys have champions on this roster. Michael Porter Jr. gutting it out, got you started early. Aaron Gordon, big shots. As you mentioned, everyone contributed. What does it say about the mettle of this team with a championship roster still intact?
I mean, we've been together for years, so we knew what we had. We know what we believe in. We believe in each other, and we're gonna need more of it. Tonight's just another step in the right direction. We know we can be better than this, but we're going to celebrate tonight with a win and get ready for Game 4.
Your coach talked about communication with us, the constant communication in the film room after a tough loss the other night, and everyone talking about getting each other's back. What is the communication like with this team as everyone seems to have a voice right now?
Just being open to criticism and holding each other accountable, because everybody knows it's coming from a good place. We're all trying to win. We're all trying to push each other to be better, and we need everybody to be better. So don't take it personally. And I think we've done a great job of just having that mental note in our head of we're all here together. And that was a great team win. Just everybody having each other's backs, everybody on a string, sticking with it for 53 minutes. It's a good win.
Jamal, congratulations. Get some rest, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, back to you.
Yeah, rest, replenish, hydrate.
It ended. Again, I keep thinking about the intensity and the fight that was on display in this game. There's Aaron Gordon, corner three, bottoms. He hit the huge three to get the win in Game 1 at OKC after getting a stop on the other end. Nikola Jokic is as good a player as there is in the world. He had a miserable night from three, 0 of 11, including that missed three that could have won the game. But in overtime, it was all Denver. The Nugget defensive pressure with the rip. Murray starts it, and the finish in transition. And Jokic did not have a bucket from three, but you're not going to keep the big fella down. Down the lane, float game, Steve. On point. 113 of them. And the Nuggets knock off the Thunder to take a 2-1 series lead against the 1 seed out west. Kind of wild with the way the zigzag, some folks call it. This is more than just that. In a 2-game span, the Nuggets go from 43-point losers to victors. Just the 4th team this century to grab a playoff win after falling by 40 in the previous game. You see the opening number for Game 4. OKC. Pretty hefty favorites.
Famous tonight.
Yep, that's what they were tonight. All right, we'll go inside the series as Denver bounces back to grab the 2-1 series lead. It was Denver's 4th win against OKC this year. Most of any team during the regular season, one of just 5 teams with a 500 record or better against SGA and company. Despite the Game 3 win, that destruction in Game 2 still looms as the Nuggets try to become the first team to lose a game by 40 and still win a series. Sixers beat the Celtics in 82 after they lost Game 1 by 40. That was a while ago. You look ahead to Game 4. Denver will try to become the 6th team to take a 3-1 lead on a team who had an 80% winning percentage in a best-of-7. 4 of the previous 5 went on to win, only loss 16 Thunder against the 73
game in his career. So, Bob, I ask you, who should feel better about this one? The Denver Nuggets, knowing they're going back home, or Oklahoma City after the game that they just had?
Denver. Denver's job was to get 1 game. That's your job. When you're going in, they have home court now. They got it. They took it from Oklahoma City. Now Oklahoma City's got to take it back. You know, Malika, what happens in these moments, having been around it, is you win the first game, and then you say, let's get greedy. Let's try to get 2. It's really hard to win 2. Ironically, we've seen that this year more than many other years.
Yeah.
But then it's human nature is to have a little complacency. That game got away from Denver pretty fast. But they're champs. I put a high value on players that have won a championship, and Denver's got a lot of them, core players. They got one, they're going home. This is going to be an awesome game tonight. I think it's going to be a great game, Denver, and trying to get these Game 3s, they're always these big swing games. They dictate the series, and we're getting one tonight.
Well, Coach Dagnall, he must have challenged Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein because it was night and day from Game 1 and Game 2. Game 1, we saw Jokic and Aaron Gordon dominate. They had 64 of the 121 points. But this Game 1, I want you to see this. No resistance whatsoever from Chet Holmgren, right? Not being the instigator, he's been the retaliator. He's taking the contact. Now watch this. Watch Isaiah Hartenstein. Look at his pickup point. Look at the physicality. Look at the active hands, right? The deflections on Jokic. He had the worst game of his postseason in Game 2, and it was solely because how physical they were with him. They met him early. And like the coach said, they got pumped. They really did.
Yeah.
Jokic and Aaron Gordon combined for 9 for 28 from the field. Jokic had so many turnovers. He fouled out. We saw him get frustrated. And shout out to Dagnall, too, for those Jalen Williams minutes off the bench. They were huge minutes off the bench in Game 2.
Yeah, Chet got way less run on Jokic in Game 2. And then Jalen Williams comes in, not J-Dub, but J-Will comes in and gets that assignment here, making all the difference in the world. 13 turnovers is so uncharacteristic for Jokic.
It is uncharacteristic, but Oklahoma City was like a bunch of piranhas the other night. They were all over them, you know. And that's why I walk in. Normally, Bob, I would totally agree with you with the scenario that you laid out, particularly considering Denver's championship pedigree. But the manner, it's not about the points. It's how they did it. They defended them. They got up in them. And they mimicked, to some degree, what the Clippers with Zubac was doing against Jokic in the opening round series. And so because of that, you saw Jokic, a minus 36, worst of his career.
Right.
In 3 quarters, fouled out, 3rd quarter. That's not going to happen again. But if you're finding a way to somewhat neutralize Jokic, because who had 42 and 22 in Game 1, that puts more pressure on a Porter, on a Gordon, to step up and produce. And that's what you want if you're Oklahoma City, particularly going into this game, because you know you ain't trying to go down to OKC. And I think that puts the pressure on them. I like the situation OKC is in right now.
I just don't, look, I'm happy to be wrong. I just don't think you can do that again. I just don't think, he's not going to have a game like that.
I
just...
Yeah. But they
might not be a great game
Let
either.
me say this. The Nuggets have no answer for SGA.
Zero.
Like, even in Game 1 and Game 2,
he hasn't been great.
He's been great. They have no answer on perimeter for that young man.
They're not a great defense.
Well, it feels like Denver has 6 guys that they really trust versus the Oklahoma City.
Supporting scoring for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. By the way, he had a great Game 2. Shai has not had a good postseason so far. This is a guy who's going to be named MVP probably next week. His numbers are okay, but they weren't great. That's one thing. Secondly, and they don't have a second scorer that's reliable. Sometimes they have a second scorer, but they don't have a guy out there that they can count on to deliver, and that's what cost them in Game 1. The second thing was Chet Holmgren got totally dominated by Jokic, and I mean, obviously Holmgren can't play Jokic the same way Ivica Zubac plays him. They're not built the same way, but 3 times in the last couple of years, the Thunder have been in high leverage situations and come up small. One was in the playoffs last year to the Mavericks. They had home court in that series. The series was tied. They melted down the stretch of that series. Their offense completely abandoned them, and Luka snatched them. And then this year in the in-season tournament where they played Milwaukee, where they just absolutely laid an egg. That was a moment for them to win something as a group. They totally laid an egg. And then in Game 1, losing home court advantage out of the gate. So I've seen them under pressure all of a sudden not be able to score when it matters. And they have the MVP. That shouldn't be the case. So those more pressure moments are coming, and I expect them to overcome that because they have every tool that you need. But there is that sense of mystery about how it's going to happen, what's going to happen when that challenge occurs again.
Switching over to War.
Thunder and Nuggets are all tied up after the first 2 games of their series. Jokic helped his team stage a huge comeback in Game 1, while SGA and the Thunder had their way in a Game 2 blowout. Now the 2 superstars will battle it out tonight for control of the series in a pivotal Game 3. Windy, we begin with you. Jokic, SGA, who needs Game 3 more?
I think it's Jokic, because I think the position that you want the Thunder in this series is to feel a little pinch, a little heat. Over the last couple of years, the Thunder have basically been untouchable, but the times where they've struggled is when they've been down. This happened last year against the Mavericks, and they felt a little bit of pressure in Game 1 here in this series against the Nuggets, and they didn't perform well. I think I've been on the Oklahoma City's winning the West train for 3-4 months. But I do think that's the position you want him in. You want him uncomfortable. And, you know, the game the other night where they got blown out, I think they made a strategic decision. Jokic fouled himself out. He basically was like, I'm done in the third quarter of that game. They had played 5 games in 9 days, including a game 7. I think Denver was tired. They get to rest. They get to come home. This gives them an opportunity to put their best foot forward. If the Thunder win and get home court advantage back, I think that gets major momentum. Big game needed from Jokic tonight.
Wendy, I'm with you. I'm going to go with Jokic. First off, it feels like, well, it should be. They should be down 0-2. Like, OKC should be up 2-0. I mean, if Dagnall makes some of the right plays down the stretch in game 1, it would have been a different scenario if they secured that game. But they just didn't get beat up in game 2. They got smacked. That was a 43-point victory. I mean, damn. That's a lot of points. And by the way, Jokic was minus 36. That's his worst plus minus of his career.
Yep.
Of his career. So I understand fouling out. I understand the amount of games and the amount of days. But SGA has been living up to it. He balled out last game. He balled out game 1 too. I think in order to secure home court advantage, I want to see Jokic, who needs game 3 more for this series to continue, considering the way the first 2 games went.
I don't disagree with y'all, but for the sake of this discussion, let me go in a different direction because everything y'all said is on point. And I would just be adding to that. No need. Let me go in a different direction. What if the Nuggets win game 3? Then all of a sudden, everything that you just said about what game 1 and 2 was supposed to be, meaning OKC needing to be up 2-0, instead of being up 2-0, down 2-1, going into game 4, the aura of invincibility that we've been talking about with OKC as it pertained to the Western Conference all of a sudden gets a bit diluted to some degree. We see the level of dominance. The Thunder have outscored the Nuggets 59-19 in points off turnovers in the first 2 games, 53-29 in fast break points over the first 2 games. But the series is still tied 1-1. And we saw Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein basically, no matter how big you are, no matter how good you are, Jokic showed you who the hell he was in game 1. With 42 and 22, we get what he's bringing to the table. Right now, if you're the Nuggets, the big problem is that your best shooter is Russell Westbrook, who's shooting 50% from the field. And Nikola Jokic is at 47%. Everybody else, Jamal Murray's at 40%, Gordon's at 37%, Bronny's at 36%. Michael Porter Jr. is shooting 17% in this series. It's unacceptable. So if you find yourself continue to look that way, but you up 2-1 on OKC, and they got to go into that game 4, you know, basically trying to avoid being in a 3-1 hole. That could make things very interesting, which is far more interesting than we anticipated. And that is why I would say, you know what? Jokic and those guys, they didn't expect, you know, you could if you go into a game 4 down 2-1 and you could tie the series, okay, that's plausible. OKC potentially being down 3-1? Oh, no. Nobody anticipated that. Let's go with SGA and OKC in terms of who needs game 3 more.
Yeah, I agree. And on top of that, the MVP race between these two is going to get real close to the situation we had 2 years ago when Embiid beats out Jokic and then Embiid flames out of the playoffs when Jokic goes on to win the title. Like, SGA needs to assert the dominance of the MVP in the series. Go into Denver, take out a team that's out of gas, having played 7 games, playing one guy off the bench essentially in Russell Westbrook, and then from there, show that you're the deeper team. Deep breath. Abrupt transition. The Celtics shot.
Ui! Đâu cô xem. Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình sẽ